Hello everyone, JB here, and today I'm actually going to show you how to install LSPDFR. I should say how I install LSPDFR. I do a couple things that are a little bit different than most people probably do. Reason why I'm doing this, went to start my game yesterday to record. I got in the game loaded up. It took me forever to actually get the game to launch. Game didn't want to launch, so I'm moving stuff out, trying to figure it out. Finally got the game to launch, and it would launch and it ran fine, and then it would just like freeze. It would freeze for like, it would stutter, but then it would freeze and then stutter, and the FPS was just all over the place. So it's an older install. I think it's August, I think. So that's pretty good for an LSPDFR install with all the different updates that were done. So I'm going to break this down into 5 different sections, or 4 technically. This last one's kind of just thrown in there. We're going to do basic LSPDFR install. Must have add-ons for LSPDFR, so add-ons that I don't think you really can have a good LSPDFR experience without. Custom backup, search results, and charges for these add-ons. So basically it'll let us add EUP backup to both LSPDFR Backup and UltimateBackup, along with better search results, question packs, and more realistic charges, which, I mean, it's got a shitload of charges. Then last but not least, we're going to install some callouts. So down in the description, there will be a Google Doc link that will include everything that we are actually going to install today. So RagePluginHook, LSPDFR, Rage Native UI, OpenInteriors, EUP Search and Rescue, EUP Backup Config. This is the one for LSPDFR Backup. Compulite, realistic charges for Compulite. StopThePed Elite, that is basically adds a bunch of new items you can find when you're searching a ped or a vehicle. Then we have ultimate questions for StopThePed, ultimate backup, EUP Backup Plus, which basically adds EUP support for ultimate backup. Then we have Speed Radar Lite, ALPR Lite, sticky wheels, which allows you to basically, when you're sitting, you can turn the wheels and not have to like hold A. So that's how it drives me nuts. It also keep the wheels turned when you get out of the car, which is nice. And the car will actually, if it gets hit from behind, it'll roll the direction that the wheels are facing, which has saved my ass a couple times. Then we're going to install PLD, keep the fucking door open. That one's a nice one if you're doing like code 5 on a traffic stop. And then custom pullover. This basically right here is Traffic Policer by Albo's mimic feature. When you're on a traffic stop, or AI stops in a stupid spot, you can hit key binding and get the car over to the side of the road better. If you're still running Albo's scripts, they're so far outdated, and they were FPS hogs to begin with. I don't even want to know what they'll do to FPS nowadays, so we're not going to use anything by Albo. No reason to. StopThePed and UltimateBackup kind of replaced it. And then for callouts, we're going to install Force a Callout, which basically what that is going to do, that is going to allow us to have a key binding that we can push that will let us set our status, so available for calls and unavailable for calls. It'll also increase the frequency of callouts a little bit. Then simple callouts, red callouts, united callouts, Jaram callouts, I think I pronounced that right. Typical callouts, regular callouts, and attempted crime callouts. So that is what we're going to go over today. Now, I said I'm going to split these into 4 different sections. I'm going to use the YouTube's chapters feature, so I'm going to split everything up. So you should be able to just go into the description and click the timestamp or to skip to the spot that you need help with, or it'll be easier for you to go back to. So first things first, you're going to want to have a copy of your GTA folder. So as you can see, I have 4. I have one for single player, that's the current one. I have one for 5M. I have one for multiplayer, so normal online, that's a basic install, which is what this is the copy of. And then this is my old single player install, because there's a couple things that I need to migrate over from that into the new one still. So that's why that one's still there. So MP, so this will be like your base GTA install. You'll want to copy that, into a folder, and then change the folder names to, whatever folder you want to use. There, if you go back, the last tutorial, GTA 5 mods tutorial I did, I explained this a little bit more in detail. So make sure you check that out. So this is our install that we're going to be starting with, or I'm going to be starting with. I have went ahead and already put in EOS, all the cars that I want, all my visual mods and whatnot. So I'm literally just installing LSPDFR today. All right, so what we're going to go ahead and do, so we're going to move this window over here, and we're going to look right here for our tutorial window that I have foldered and all organized and all pretty. First thing we're going to start with is actually LSPDFR 0.4.8. So in this folder, this is everything we're going to need. So what you're going to want to do is take all this, select it all. Now, this is optional, but you should do it. Hold your control key, your left control key, click on this README text. We don't need that. Scroll up, and then also click off of licenses. We don't need that in our install folder, really. So then we're just going to click and drag it over. It's going to copy everything. And there we go. So LSPDFR files are technically there. Right now, on 0.4.8, it should come with the correct RagePluginHook version. If it does not, then what you will need to do is download the latest version of RagePluginHook from RagePluginHook.net. So it's 1.81.1410, which is version 2060. So I'm pretty sure we're good. So we can check that actually. If we come over here to our install folder, we scroll down to RagePluginHook, and we right click and click properties and go to details. Right there, that's the correct version number, the latest version number right here, 1.81.1410. So we don't need to replace it. If by chance it doesn't match or it's outdated, then you would want to download that. You would come in here, click, select everything, get rid of README, SDK, and licenses, and you would just click and drag this over to your install folder. It won't replace anything that LSPDFR has already added. So technically, you could do that. You want to do that second. You don't want to do that first, because then LSPDFR's install will override all the files that's just replaced. So you don't want that. So those are done. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder called done. That way I keep this nice and organized. So LSPDFR and RageHook are installed. So next, what we're going to do, we have ScriptHook. Basically, you just download it, click bin. You want this one and this one, you just click and drag it over. I already have it installed, so it's going to want to replace the files, so I'll just replace them, and that's it. So that's how you need ScriptHook for pretty much any, menu mods and whatnot, trainer and all that. So that is finished. Next, we are going to install OpenInteriors. Now, this more and more callout packs are starting to utilize the different interiors that are in GTA. So this is kind of one, you don't really need it, but a lot of the callout packs, and I know for a fact most of the callout packs I'm going to be installing require it. So you just click and drag these into your GTA install, and they're installed. Don't really need to change anything in the INI, just leave it default. So that is finished. And last but not least of like the menus or like ASI, files, we're going to want to install PLD, which is player location display. So we're going to click on that, installation file is GTA 5, and then we just click and drag this in. And now we have a player location display. So that's the little compass and street names down in the bottom left corner of your screen when you're playing. So that is installed. All right, so now we're going to start messing with the actual files that LSPDFR installs. So first, we're going to go in here to the LSPDFR folder in your GTA install. Click on LSPDFR.ini. Now, these are all settings that you can configure, okay? And I'm going to go over a couple different things that you can change that will help with performance and also get rid of annoyances that LSPDFR comes with enabled by default, and they drive me insane. This right here, main.preload all models. Set that to false, otherwise you will get texture loss at some point or another. It's just, I don't even know why that comes as pre-enabled. It should be disabled by default. After that one, you're going to want to come down here to this right here where it says world events and an interval and world events max events, if you're having performance issues, go ahead and set this to 0.0f and this to 0. This will enable or disable the random events that LSPDFR creates. Sometimes if your system's, not very good, that can help free up a little bit of performance. Not always, but it's always just one that I used to change on my old system. Now we're going to come down here to the ones that are, this is what the game sets as default. So right here, ambient spawn of disable random units. If you're having performance issues, set that to true. Okay, that will disable the random cars that LSPDFR loads in, so the other cops basically that LSPDFR loads in by default. Set that to true. It'll disable those. It'll free up a little bit of performance. Next, callouts disable big radar. Set that to true. What that does is basically it makes the map big when you get a callout. It's pointless. It drives me insane. Other annoyance. Disable camera focus on a chase. Enable that. Set that to true. What that does is when you come up on a pursuit, it's not going to zoom in the camera on the suspect. That drives me nuts. If you like that, leave that to false, but I can't stand it. So it's always the ones that I disable right away. I like this one. Risking disable COVID-19 items. That's classic. Disable multiplayer map. Sometimes you can set that to true. That might, that'll OpenInteriors is going to load the multiplayer map anyway, so that's kind of pointless to disable that. And then this one right here, police station, disable ambient spawn. This is basically going to make it so no random police officers are spawning outside of the various police stations around the map. So if you set that to true, that will stop that, free up a little bit of performance when you're around the area, especially down in the city, when you're around all the different precincts. So that covers everything that I normally would change in here. So we're going to go ahead and click X, save it, and that's done. Next, we're going to go into keys, okay, in that LSPDFR folder. So we have right here, since we're going to be installing StopThePed, we are not going to want to have traffic stop interact key. We're going to want to set that to none. And also for the controller, none. And I believe that is all we need to actually change for that. I think that's doing that will make StopThePed happy. So those are changed. Click X, save, and that is done. So that's the little config file changes that I do, and it can help with performance. So we'll go back over here to our basic install. Next, we're going to actually install EUP and EUP search and rescue. So for that, you're going to want to have Open4 or OpenIV, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and open it. EUP is extremely easy to install, literally. So first, you want to install the Law and Order pack, so LO pack. You're going to go in here. You're going to go to EUP, or this right here, sorry. This right here, this OVI, you literally click and drag that into Open4. And you click install, and you click install the mods folder. I'm not going to do that. I've already done this, so it'll save me some time for the video. So you would click install the mods folder. Always use the mods folder. It saves so much time because if you mess up something, all you have to do is delete the mods folder. You don't have to start completely from scratch. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that. Same thing for EUP search and rescue. Just click that OVI file, drag it in, and click install the mods folder. That's it. So that covers EUP, EUP, the actual EUP clothing files that it adds to the game. The other thing, so we're done with Open4. That can go bye-bye. The other thing that we have is actually the EUP menu. So what this is basically, it's how you can actually configure your EUP character and also select the different outfits. I don't like using the term outfits, but that's what it's called. So if you come over here, so these files right here go into the plugins folder and your GTA install. So if you double click plugins, we're going to take these two files right here and just move them over. Now these, when you download the EUPN menu file, it'll look a little bit different than this. These are just, if you look, it actually has my preset from my old install and also my saved wardrobe. It's wardrobes? No, wardrobe. So that's EUP in a nutshell and how you get that to work for you to be able to use. So technically, we are finished with our basic install. So what we are going to do, we're actually going to go ahead and attempt to launch LSPDFR for the first time. So we're going to click RagePluginHook down here, double click it. It's going to give us this disclaimer about, you know, blah, 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 something about Rockstar and Take-Two Interactives. We click accept. It's going to ask if it wants to back up our current game version. I am going to click yes. Basically what this does is if GTA it updates, you have a backup that you can back up or recover from, so your GTA folder will still work and all your mods will still work, just in case you forget to like change your folder and whatnot before the game updates. So this is the basic RagePluginHook settings. Plugin timeout threshold, I usually set this, I used to set it to about 60,000. I'm going to do 50,000 this time around. 30 to 50,000 I think is a good sweet spot. I probably could go lower, but basically this is how long it'll wait before the plugin is terminated by RagePluginHook. So if it like stutters or hangs, basically. Next, we're going to want to go to plugins. We're going to want to load all plugins on startup. Just set it to that. That way it will load every single plugin that you have in that plugins folder automatically. You don't have to worry about it. Then advanced settings, you don't need to worry about that too much. No. And then right here under command line switches, this is one that some people won't have to do, others will. By default, Windows 10's full screen enhancements kind of break the way RagePluginHook link into the game sometimes. Now, I've tried to figure out how to bypass it. This is one of the ways that I figured it out. So basically what you want to do is check right here where it says force windowed mode. Click that, and what that's going to do is when the game launches, it's going to open up in windowed mode. And then I will show you here in a second once the game launches how to get it back into full screen mode. So we are finished with all the command line settings that we want to set. So we're just going to click save and launch. You can hold the shift key down after holding or opening RagePluginHook to bring that settings dialog window back up. So we're just going to click OK. And right now it's going to be launching RagePluginHook or GTA from my Steam install. So as soon as the game launches here, I'm going to show you how you can make it full screen again. All right, so the game is attempting to load up using RagePluginHook right now. So what you're going to want to do, so click on the window if your mouse is, it's on a second monitor. Click on the GTA window, and then you're going to hit Alt, Enter, and that is going to put it into full screen mode. And as you can see, RagePluginHook is actually hooked into the game and not having any issues. Now, you might not have this issue. You might not have to worry about it. You might have the issue. That's why I put it in here. So we'll let this game fully launch and see what it does on first initial install. All right, so we're loaded in the game here. What we're going to want to do is hit the pause menu, go to LSPDFR here, and we're going to want to go to switch character. Now, as you can see, this is going to take us into the character creator. So this is a nice way if you don't have EUP set up like I already have to actually set up your character. So you can select male or female, you can go to heritage, just like you would for your GTA Online. It's like the same process basically. Now I'm going to cheat if it'll let me. Oh no, it won't. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going to leave it on whatever default character it's going to give because I already have my EUP model from, or model head or whatever you want to call it from EUP. So I'm not worried about what I initially load up in the game as. We're going to click save and continue. We're going to name them. My name and we are going to select use. And now by default, it will actually, when we launch LSPDFR, it is going to launch with your PED. So this is actually one of the new houses for 0.4.8. So we're going to stand up. Alrighty, so we're going to head out of here. Is this out? Nope, that's the bathroom. I've never been in this interior before, so leave the apartment. Alright, so since we're outside, oh, there's our stander. If we click M, this is going to bring up the LSPDFR menu. You're going to want to go into settings and spawn character last played is what I'm going to do. Spawn location, what you can do random, which means it's either going to put you at a police station or it's going to put you in your apartment. Or you can select apartment or police station. I do police station just because I don't have to walk out of the apartment and, you know, then do all of my stuff to go on duty. So don't need to worry about that anymore. What we're going to do instead of driving all the way to the police station, we're going to hit F4, which is going to bring up the RagePluginHook console. And we're going to type in force duty. Click enter. Oh, we have to go on duty at least once. See, I forgot about this. You have to go on duty at least once from an actual department and select an agency. So we'll go ahead and get in the stander and head over to the Sandy Shores police station. Alright, so we are just about to the police station here. So we're going to go inside and actually go on duty. So there we go. So we'll just go in here. We're going to walk to this back set of doors and hit E. And what this is going to do is it's going to take us to the locker room. And we'll be able to select our agency and our car, basically, for the first time. Now, you don't have to do this every single time you want to go on duty. You can do the force duty and spawn everything in without having to come in here. So, go on duty. We click that. There we go. So, we're actually on duty now. That's it. So, we have police locker. So, we have our agency. So, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, LSPD. We have the cop. Now, see, since I have EUP installed, some of these are a little weird. So, that's when a couple of those add-ons that I'm going to show you here in a minute are going to come in handy. So, we're just going to do our standard. Go to the police garage and select a car, and then we will actually be on duty. So, we're just going to select the Crown Vic that I have in. And we are now officially on duty. So LSPDFR is installed and working as of right now. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and close out of the game, and we're going to go ahead and actually add in some of these add-ons now that I was talking about. All right, so we are back here on my desktop. We are going to go ahead and start with our second list here of our add-ons, like the must-have add-ons. So we have ALPR light, Compulite, custom pullover, keep the fucking door open, speed radar light, sticky wheels, StopThePed, and UltimateBackup. So what we're going to do is one by one. Basically, you're going to want to go in, see where it says plugins right here. Technically, you just click and drag that plugins folder right into your GTA, your base GTA folder. So where it shows all the folders and all the files. Just copy it, and that's it. So if we go in here, it's installed. There's no need to go in here, you know, go like this and, you know, LSPDFR, and copy these in. Just copy that plugins folder right into your main game folder. Make sure that you're not hovering over an actual window, though. Otherwise, it'll drop it into that, or hover over a folder. Otherwise, it will drop the file into that folder. So make sure you're over here and just hovering over like the command line or something like this, not an actual folder. So ALPR light is installed, so I need to get my done folder. Okay, that's gone. Now we're going to do Compulite. So Compulite right here, we have plugins, and see this has a Rage native UI. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy both of these into our GTA install. So click, drag, copied. So it installed Rage native UI, and into our plugins LSPDFR folder, Compulite's in there now. So that's that. So we're done with that. custom pullover, plugins, copy, done, done. And let's do keep the fucking door open. So this one actually shows GTA 5 plugins. We just copy that over. Now if we come in here, keep the fucking door opens is in here. And custom pullovers, Compulite, and ALPR Lite are in as well. What I would do at this point normally, I would actually load up the game and make sure the game launches. I'm one of those, YOLO, basically. I throw everything in and pray it works. I've been doing this for, 3 years now, LSPDFR modding, so I've got it down to like a science, basically. So that's what I recommend you do. So install a couple things, launch the game, go on duty, make sure what you added is actually working, and then close out of the game and add the rest of your stuff. So I'm just going to continue with what I already have because I know for a fact everything here should work. So speed radar, plugins folder, copied over, done. Sticky wheels, plugins folder, over here, it's installed. Done. StopThePed. Now this one right here is a interesting one. So you're going to want to go ahead and copy this over to your plugins folder. So copy that plugins folder over here. And now if we come into plugins, LSPDFR, StopThePed is now installed. Now what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to actually check this StopThePed.ini file. So in here is where you can change your key bindings and all that. So the main things I normally change in here, or you might want to change if you're having any performance issues, I should say. So come down here, enable dead ped persistence and enable empty vehicle persistence. You can enable those to no. Sometimes that'll help with performance if your computer is basically a potato. For the most part, you can leave those on. Most of the time, it really doesn't do much anyway, so that's, I'm pretty sure, the only thing. So we have advanced flashlight. We want that enabled because it actually lets you move the flashlight up and down, which I don't think I disabled this in the LSPDFR .ini. So we will fix that here in a second. And right here, this right here is another thing. So StopThePed has what they call the realistic weapon system. So basically it gives you the default weapons, whatever you set here, automatically. So I don't care for the normal pistol. I want the combat pistol, and I think it's underscore pistol. I'll have to double check if I'm wrong, but it'll install a flashlight on it, our carbine rifle, and a scope on it along with the flashlight, and our pump shotgun along with the flashlight. Now by default, it gives you 48 handgun ammo, 150 rounds rifle ammo, and 32 shotgun. I normally just go through and add a 0 to all that because it's what it's designed for. Is you can go to the back of your cruiser and actually open the menu and retrieve more ammo and whatnot. It's just for recording purposes. It's a lot easier. I don't have to worry about remembering to do that. This right here is enable comped. It's disabled by default, it looks like, so I'm not worried about that. And prisoner transport stuff we don't have to worry about because we are going to be using UltimateBackup, so we don't have to worry about changing anything in here. Coroner, we also don't need to because we're going to be using UltimateBackup. Don't have to worry about changing stuff in here. The only thing that I am going to have to change in here is my flatbed that I want to use for the tow truck. I don't have the actual model number or model name wrote down, so I'll have to grab that later. But right here, you would change that if you had like an add-on tow truck. That's what those things are called. And I think that's about it. Yeah, that's everything for StopThePed's INI. So we're gonna check the LSPDFR.ini and disable that so we can actually use, where is it? There it is. So we're going to disable ambient, disable player flashlight override. That's what it's called. Okay. Save that. go over here, LSPDFR, LSPDFR.ini, right here. Disable player flashlight override. We want that set to true, not capital T. So that is it. We're going to hit close and save that. So that is StopThePed installed. So we're done there. Next one is going to be UltimateBackup. So double click. We're going to want to move this over here. It's now installed. Going to want to open up our LSPDFR folder now, and UltimateBackups.ini. This is where you're going to set your what key bindings you want. So I use numpad 1 for the menu key, just so there's not a key binding and I can still use the built-in LSPDFR backup if I need to. Dismiss all backup key is set to enter. You hold the enter key for a few seconds and it dismisses all your backups, so you don't have to go around and do it individual. Panic button is numpad 0, control plus numpad 0, and control plus numpad 3 is what I set for group backup. I don't use either of these very often, so I'm not that worried about it. Canine partner interaction is set to T by default. That's fine. This, you can actually set the buttons that you want to use for like controller. So I don't use anything, or it doesn't come with anything enabled by default for the controller, so I'm not going to enable anything. That's more buttons and conflicts that I have to deal with. So I think that's actually it for everything in here. So the rest can be left on default. So we're just going to close that and save it. And that is every like main add-ons that I would recommend for LSPDFR. So what we're going to go ahead and do is launch our game and make sure everything still works. All right, so we're loading up here. It'll say new console commands added. And what this is going to actually do, this should drop us in as the PED we created the first time around. So once the game actually initializes LSPDFR, it'll do a zoom in from the sky, kind of like on GTA Online. It's going to stick us at this, whatchamacallit, park ranger station. So we should be able to... Oh, there is a guy in there. I thought there was no cop in there driving it. What we can do now is we should be able to hit F4 and actually force duty. So we click that and click enter. And now it is forcing duty. And everything we just installed is actually working. Look at that. And it's actually smooth too. So custom pullover, ALPR light, Compulite, speed radar light, StopThePed, and UltimateBackup. Now this is when you would want to, test like key binding buttons. So numpad 1, there's UltimateBackup. So we could call in, backup or partner or canine partner. Let's actually go ahead and spawn canine partner. So there's, oh, that looks like Harley. Yeah, that's Harley. So go ahead and despawn that. So that is all of the main mods for LSPDFR that I would say to get a nice decent experience. So minimal, for good experience. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and close out of this. Should be good. And we'll add the other configuration add-ons for StopThePed and whatnot. All right, so we're back here on the desktop. We are going to go ahead and start with this right here is backup. This is the EUP backup for UltimateBackup. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open this, see how it wants to go to plugins right here. This time I'm not just going to copy and paste everything. So we're going to want to go to plugins, LSPDFR. So plugins, LSPDFR, and next it's going to want us to go to UltimateBackup. So we're going to double click, go into this, and what we're going to want to do is take these 3 files and copy them over. Okay, we're going to replace them. Now, if we look in here, this default regions one with this mod installed, you don't have to worry about default regions. It's going to use everything in custom regions. This is where you can actually go in and change which cars it will actually spawn in as backup. So if you use add-on packs, this is where you'll want to go in and change these model names to your add-on packs and whatnot. So that's how you do that. I'm not going to go into detail on how exactly that's done. you can change the chance. Like, let's say you don't want the police bike. You'd set the chance to 0 all the way down. So you'd like hit Control F and look for police B and change that chance to 0 for everything that is listed under police B. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I know how to do it, but it's time consuming. So we're going to go ahead and we are done with that. So we're going to get my done folder. Forgot to do that at the beginning. So that one is done. So now we're going to go ahead and go back to our main GTA 5 folder. And we're going to install Compulite charges and citations. So these right here, see, it didn't give us a folder that these go into. So I'm going to tell you where these go into. They go into plugins, LSPDFR, Compulite, and right here we have charges and citations. So we copy these over here, replace the files, and that's it. So now we have all of these charges that we can do. It's a ton of them. So that is that installed. Oop. So next we're going to install actual LSPDFR EUP backup. So this will make all your all the PEDs basically that LSPDFR uses by default with EUP, or use EUP models and whatnot. So we have LSPDFR. So we're going to go here to LSPDFR data. And then if you look, we have all these files plus custom. Now with this, all we have to do is just take this, drag it, and copy it, and replace all the files. By default, this custom folder is empty, so now it is full with everything we need for agency EUP. So if you click in here, right here is where you can change your backup files or backup cars for LSPDFR backup, and these are also the ones that ambiently spawn around the map too. So you can change all these. I'm not worried about that. So we're going to just leave that as default for now. You can go in and experiment with that. If you mess it up, all you have to do then is just go back to your main folder, copy these back into that LSPDFR data folder, and you're basically set back to 0, just like you didn't mess with anything. So that's why I always recommend to keep everything you download, just so you have a backup and modify everything in your game files. That way, if you mess something up, you have those original download that you can just copy it back in and it resets it. So that is that taken care of. Next, we're going to do StopThePed, Elite, and Ultimate questions. These both are for StopThePed. So we're going to go ahead and go to plugins, LSPDFR, and StopThePed. So now if StopThePed Elite should be plugins, LSPDFR, StopThePed. We have pat down items, pet answers, and vehicle items. So we're going to copy these first, replace everything. And so that is that taken care of. So we'll go back to this. We're finished with that. Ultimate Q&A. So we install that, plugins, LSPDFR, StopThePed, and it is custom questions and traffic stop questions. We copy those in and replace the files. That's it. So those are all those files are now installed. Okay, so that takes care of that. Technically, I probably could combine those two, but anyway, oh well. Finally, the last thing we're going to want to do is install callout packs. This is where you can start having issues with crashing. A lot of times the callout packs are what causes the game to crash. We're going to start with force a callout first. So this is going to be installed into GTA 5 plugins. See how this has Rage Native UI? Don't need that right now. So we're just going to go plugins, LSPDFR, and now we have force a callout.ini, force a callout.dll, and also Police Smart Radio. We're going to want to copy all these files into here. Even though we don't have Police Smart Radio in here, the game or these plugins still copy everything over. The game just won't use it because that Police Smart Radio is not actually installed. So what I do for force a callout is we enable the callout text, which basically, if you set this to false, you'll just get a notification every time you hit your key that you have set for whatever, when you are not available or available for calls. I set this to true. That puts a little black box right above PLD, that it'll say if you're on duty or available for calls and not available. So right here, this PLD compatibility, since we have PLD installed, we're going to want to set that to true. And then the last thing I do is this availability key. I use numpad 9. Don't know why. That's just the one that I use. I have since day one, since started using this. So click that, save that. That is that installed. This is where you really want to, let's get that done folder installed or set up. This is where you really want to, if you're worried about the game crashing, this is when you'll want to launch the game, go on duty, make sure it launches, no FPS hits and whatnot, because sometimes callout pads can cause FPS hits. And this is when you'll want to do that. I'm taking the YOLO approach because of the tutorial, plus it's what I normally would do anyway. So we are going to go ahead and next we're going to do attempt a crime callouts. So AAC callouts. See this? Now we have two folders we're going to be dealing with. We have plugins, LSPDFR, and right here are the folder files that would go in this folder. But now we also have this LSPDFR audio folder and then scanner that is going to go to our main GTA install. So over here, GTA, so LSPDFR audio scanner, this folder is going to go here when we copy it over. Now this is when I'm going to go ahead and go back to just copying these base folders over, because I know it's not going to modify anything that's already in the game. So that's callout pack installed. Most of LSPDFR, like modding LSPDFR, is literally just drag and drop. What's challenging is making sure everything works. So DRAM callouts, GTA plugins. So this one does not have an audio pack, so we're just going to copy that plugins folder. That one's installed. Done with that. Red callouts. See, this one does have LSPDFR plugins, and it also includes an INI for OpenInteriors. As far as I know, you don't need to don't really need to drag that in. So what OpenInteriors comes with by default should be good enough. So I'm not going to drag that in. We'll just copy both of those. That's that done. So done. Regular callouts, same thing. These two files. Copy it in. Done. Simple callouts. Two of the folders. Copied over. That's installed. Typical callouts. Plugins. Done. And the LSPDFR audio. And also, finally, United callouts. Copied over both of those folders, and those are all installed. So technically, all those callout packs are now installed. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why the hell did you show me how to do that? That's literally just dragging and dropping stuff. This is when you want to actually start your game in between adding each of those plugin or those callout packs to make sure you're not getting any crashes or you're not getting any like FPS hits. After adding a certain callout pack, then you'll know, okay, I need to go in and delete those. So you'd have to go in and delete whatever it installed for both the plugins folder, and also you'd have to go into LSPDFR audio scanner and delete the folder specific for that callout pack. You don't want to delete the entire LSPDFR audio folder. That'd be bad. So real quick, we're going to go into plugins, LSPDFR. This is where all our config files for our callout packs are going to be. So attempt to crime callouts, if we click on that INI, this is when where we'll actually, you can set the key bindings that the callout uses a lot of times, and also sometimes you can enable and disable the callouts, specific callouts in the pack. So I need to enable censorship, yes, because YouTube, and I don't need, some girls being shown on camera. That's a pain in the ass to blur in editing. I've had that happen a couple times. So next that we're going to deal with is custom pullover. I didn't go over the different features of this. So this is where you can set your key bindings for custom pullover. So by default, it's the left control R to mimic. So that's all you really need for that. It also has the auto vehicle door lock, keeps the random peds from randomly stealing your car in game. I've never had that issue, so I leave that on false. DRAM callouts. So see, this is, you can actually enable and disable callouts. So that's all you really have to worry about with this. So next, what we're going to go ahead and do is go out of here. This is if our game launches and everything is good. Technically, this install is done, or at least my base install that I'm going to start with. So we're going to go ahead and launch RagePluginHook and cross our fingers and hopefully nothing breaks. Alrighty, so we are loaded in, which is a good sign. We're not on duty yet, so if it crashes, if you can see there, that guy is actually wearing an EUP model, so is that one over there, which is nice. There's actually Tahoe driving down the roadway. I love that 2021 Tahoe, man. It looks so badass. So what we're going to do, I didn't show you this before. I'm going to show you the EUP menu. So EUP menu, basically you hit F11. It's what it is by default. You have characters, wardrobe, and then you actually have the preset collection of uniforms for Law and Order and the Serve and Rescue pack. So characters, I'm going to go ahead and select my guy. So that's my default guy. If you don't have a guy, what you can do is you can click create character and actually create one in here, and then you just spawn it every time once that's created. Wardrobe, these are where you actually save your different preset outfits, and you can change on the fly basically. So I've got all these in right now. So, or if you don't have any wardrobe set, you would go to LU, or the Law and Order pack, I should say. Then you have all the different agencies. So LSPD, you have all these different uniform packs for the LSPD. Sheriff's or Highway Patrol, same thing. So it's really simple and intuitive. So I'm just going to go ahead and do LSPD, my normal one with the body camera. That is an EUP add-on that I have in. So now, if you change your EUP stuff before you go on duty, this is what happens. So if you hit F4, force duty, and I'm praying the game doesn't crash totally. We hit enter, it changes it back to our default guy, and it always messes up the guy's eyes until you actually close out of this menu. So it cracks me up every time. So we're going to go ahead and F4, close out of that. See, it just changed all those EUP stuff. So make sure you go on duty first before you start setting your EUP character up. So now we hit F11, we have to go back to my guy, go into wardrobe, and select that LSPD outfit. So the game launched and is running great, 60 FPS as you can see, because I'm recording desktop capture and not game capture like I normally am. So you should be able to see my Steam FPS. So we'll go ahead and get a car spawned in. Which one? Choose this. Yeah, let's use the Charger. Oh, it sounds so good. And we'll test out first. So if we hit 9 on the keypad, so not available for calls, and 9 also is available for calls. What that also does is allows you to be able to force a call out too. So if we hit X, it'll force a call out. Then we can hit Y to accept it and go on our way. I'm going to go ahead and pull over this tornado real quick, just so we can make sure our mimic feature is working. So yeah, he's stopping in a stupid spot anyway, so I don't think I can actually get him in a much better spot than that. So if we hit Control R, oh, I'm too far away. Control R, the tornado is now following us. There we go. So that's working. We'll go ahead and get out. Sticky wheels is working as well. The wheels stayed turned. Now we'll want to go ahead and hit E to use StopThePed's traffic menu, so we can request documentations. Oh, this lady's drunk. Well, since this isn't normal, we don't like drunk drivers. Oh, why don't I have a normal gun? Oh, because I didn't set that as the correct weapon in the StopThePed menu, so I'll have to fix that. So I'll just go ahead and give myself all weapons. Oh, and the game crashed. I forgot I can't do that when StopThePed realistic things enabled. I forgot about that. So let me fix that real quick. All right, so that should be all one word without the underscore. So now we can save that and we will have the weapon. So let me reload the game real quick again and make sure, take a call out, make sure everything's working. All right, so I went ahead and checked everything, and this video is getting long, so I'm not gonna leave me actually checking that everything works. Everything is working like perfectly, which is amazing. Actually, frame rate's really good too for being desktop recorded. So let's find a spot. Oh, the Bishop's Chicken will work. Oh, that didn't work like I wanted it to. There we go. There we go. No, so we're not available for calls. Off dispatch. So if you have any questions, just leave them down in the comments. I'll do my best to help. Won't be able to answer everything because I won't know everything for your specific situation. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. That way it gets out to more people and we can help more people get up. I went and kind of over-explained things. That way someone that had like no clue hopefully understood and could follow along. So if you like this, make sure you hit that like button. Also consider subscribing or at least checking out my normal LSPDFR videos that I have. I'll link a couple down in the pinned comment that are some of my favorites that you can check out, and consider subscribing for them. And with that, I think that's everything. Yeah, that should be everything. So I will see you in the next LSPDFR.